Well, my name is Kevin Hollinshead. I'm a lifelong resident of North Charleston. Grew up in North Charleston, attended North Charleston schools. I graduated from Shakora High School and attended an HBCU called Benedict College, which I received a degree in criminal justice. From there, I became a police officer and I worked in the city of Columbia, Richland County, and then also in Charleston at Charleston Sheriff Department. I have always been involved in community service work when I was in law enforcement and have always been able to work with my community to resolve issues as being a police officer. I also attended Springfield College and received my master's and started on my PhD studies with Walden University, which I kind of got burned out, but I had good grades. That was in criminal justice. But uh, I have always, again, been active in coaching our community, sending kids to college in great numbers that families were struggling to make ends meet. But, I was able to find resources to help kids strengthen and better their lives and mentoring kids within our community. The reason that led me to the school board was years ago, and I can't remember the actual year I ran. Um, my sister Karen was a principal, and my late wife Monica was a school teacher, and we would all sit around the table and talk about how the board does not listen to the layperson in the community to strengthen their schools. And that encouraged me to run for the big board back then, which I got close but did not win. And timing was right later on, and I did it again and won. And the reason why I'm running for reelection is, I have seen education in other cities like Atlanta, Georgia, which I named three schools. We took a visit. I was the only school board member that funded a visit to take stakeholders there. We visited Coretta Scott King Academy for Girls, Best Academy for Boys, and we also did Hollis Academy. And so in those impoverished areas, we saw African Americans strengthening and rebuilding African American lives. And it was very heartwarming to see our people pull together to reshape a community. And Atlanta could tell you about all the mistakes that they made and how they went for privatizing. They tried management groups, and it just didn't work. So they took these schools and started piloting these programs. And the girls' school, Coretta Scott King, graduates 100%. You talking about some bright young ladies, make you proud. They graduated 100%, and they were featured on NBC News and what they did to um, help those ladies be uplifted. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. So I definitely love that response. I think that was a very awesome answer. You've been involved in public service and community service for quite some time now, clearly. So I'm curious, what's your definition of leadership? What does it mean for you to be a leader? And you've been a leader clearly for quite some time over the years. So I'm pretty sure your answer probably has evolved many times. So I'm curious, what do you define to be leadership? What does it mean to you to be a leader?
I'll tell you what, being a leader is not easy. Um, I can honestly be, I can honestly tell you, growing up in Charleston County, I was raised in the Reverend Goodwin, Reverend McLean, Reverend Williams, a few of the North Area ministers when they had the ministerial alliance. I had ran for city council when I was younger, and those guys would cut my behind. And they carried me through what we call a pledging process over the years to make sure that I knew the oath to my community and what is at stake. So, I take offense when other people try to jump into this role and they hadn't paid the dues. There's a lot of volunteering, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that you have to do in your community if you're going to, as they say in the church, witness to your community. And that's just me.
Okay, awesome. So, you are a parent, you have children that have been in the Charleston County School District, schools. Um, what do you think is the biggest problem that is facing Charleston County School District? And how do you feel with you being reelected, you'll be able to get in there and fix it, if that makes sense?
There's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between the upper management and the layperson in the community. I'm hoping that upon being reelected, at least getting 3 to 4 voices on the board, I can talk to, that we can steer the board in a direction to work with people like Eric Jackson, AJ, Community Resource Center, people like that that have their hands and pulse on the community. I can name a lot more, but the big disconnect with the district is the nonprofits that are speaking for African Americans are don't look like me and you, and I'm telling them that they have to use those African American groups that are just not trying to uh, get a paycheck.
Okay. Um, as a parent, I think it's very interesting to see like how many parents, people that have children, people that have had roles within the school district in some shape or form, they're stepping up and they're realizing now like, hey, like we need to know what's going on in our school district. They're speaking up more, they have more voices. How do you feel as someone who's been a parent yourself and someone who has been a part of the school board also? How do you feel about, this new wave of people wanting to be more aware of what's happening when it comes to their kids' education? Parents, I wouldn't say parents being more responsible. I feel like that sounds a little offensive, but just parents, stepping up a little bit more and saying, calling out, the foolishness when they see it, if that makes sense.
Well, I think it's great that we're beginning to get parents involved, but we still have a big way to go, a great hurdle to cross. Um, the average parent, as you know, Kimberly, in our area, we either work 2 jobs, a single parent, and they're just trying to make it work in life. We have to find a way to get their voice at the table. I often said this, and when you're talking about a kid in school and you're talking about closing the achievement gap, if that child parent is struggling in the household, it makes it difficult for that child to learn in school. So therefore, we need to have mentoring programs and wraparound services involved that bring those parents some sort of aid and benefit to ease the tension in the home. You just can't try to fix a flat tire and you got all 4 flats and you're trying to patch one up. That doesn't work.
Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense. You're clearly running for reelection. What has been, I'll say, during your previous term and just, throughout your time serving the communities of Charleston as a whole, what has been a big moment for you to where you're like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. Like this is all been worthwhile, or this is what I do this for. What's been a big moment for you that's really been like confirmation that this is what you're supposed to be doing? Serving the community in some way is the role that you're supposed to play.
Well, I have brought to the table an awareness that was not being done before. Yeah, I might have ruffled feathers, but I am very happy to where I'm excited that my people realize that I walk around and drive around the county now. People that are yelling, I already voted for you, I support you, I like you talking about our community and giving us voice again. So it was worth it.
Okay. Now, I asked about the biggest moment. So what has been your biggest regret? I feel like as a leader, when you're doing anything, you have something that you're like, I wish I did this, or I wish I did this a little bit differently. What's been a moment where you wish you could have done more, or you wish you could have done something differently?
Sometimes I think I wish I could count to 10 upon reaction when they gut punch me. Um, that in Christ, I think, strengthens me more. But sometimes I learn the patience of what I've been taught, and I'm learning to do some things differently. But sometimes I don't. I'm only human.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And what has been the reelection process been like so far? Because I think this election season, especially with COVID, everything that's been going on, it's been a little different. The energy is different when it comes to the whole school board race. Clearly there's a lot more controversy. There's a lot more going on, and there's just more people are stepping up to the plate to call things out that aren't right, call things out, and bring more awareness to people on the people that are actually that are actually running in these races. So what do you think, talk about that, like, how that experience has been so far of, this new energy within this campaign so far?
And great. I I received some political attacks, but my people and people not of color have been showing me love. When I leave this pod, I got to go out to Johns Island to deliver signs. People want to put signs in the yard. They got me working up to election day. I'll be in Hollywood after that with signs. So I appreciate the love and enthusiasm that people stand behind me with, and I'm truly blessed.
Okay. And also, speaking of COVID, I know you've been very involved when it comes to being in the community, your food distribution drives, collaborating and, putting your head together with a lot of other community leaders as well. What kind of made you say, okay, I need to do something. I need to help the community in some kind of way? Because, COVID, this is all brand new territory for everybody. So nobody really knows what they're doing. So what was it for you that was like, okay, I need to act, I need to do something?
I just saw it as a mission. We started out with food drive, and we went throughout the county, Johns Island, Ondal, you name it. We were just giving food out, North Charleston, and people are still struggling today. We just did one in Ondal about a week ago, and people are still struggling, trying to make ends meet. We worked with Optus Bank in Columbia to help small businesses get PPP loans to keep them afloat. I just know I'm a Charlestonian. I know I got to work to help better my community. And I just take being a public servant a lot more serious. That you leverage whatever you can to better your community.
Okay. And a question that I always like to ask, especially Black candidates, and we don't have to go into like the attack ads and things like that. I'm just curious as far as, when it comes to things like the school board, of course, people want to feel like they're properly being represented and that their voices are being heard. Of course, I know you're going to say, yes, definitely, representation is so important in situations like this. But, I feel like it's become even more important now. Talk about that and just the importance of the proper representation when it comes to leadership, when it comes to your school board, when it comes to, we can even throw in the president. Talk about, proper representation, especially when it comes to race and things like that.
Well, that's short. Proper representation comes from being trained and knowing your responsibility and your oath to your community. Um, that's the foundation of doing anything. Having in my days, a lot of community adults helped after my father passed away. Um, the late Herbert Fielding and all worked with me. McKinley Washington worked with me to understand what it is my role is to my community.
Okay, awesome. Now, my second to last question, how is, I want to make sure I say it correctly. What would you say, you're a Black man and clearly, Black communities need Black leadership from Black men, Black women, and things like that. What would you say to younger generations, with everything, your extensive history, your extensive career? What do you say to other young Black men, other Black leaders when it comes to like their responsibility, when it comes to being a leader, when it comes to representing, when it comes to doing what it is that you're supposed to do? What advice would you give to those kind of people that are trying to have a career like yours, when they're trying to, have the impact that you've had in the Charleston community?
I tell them to, as I told the young kids the other day on the other panel, you can reach out to me anytime. If you want advice and want counseling on how to be a leader in the community, on how you want to be, if you want to run for office, reach out to me. I won't be doing this forever. And it's my job to train you and to help get you in a position so you can take my place. So that's pretty much where I'm at.
Okay. And my last question is, what do you say, because I feel like around this time of year, everybody's favorite question is, well, why should I vote for you? What makes you so qualified? What do you say to those people that, may doubt you, may not think that you are qualified, may not think that you're the answer to what we need on the school board? What do you say to the naysayers when it comes to what you have planned, your hopes, and what the school board and the communities of Charleston need?
Well, for those who don't see it my way, I'm always open for a good conversation. You may not see it my way now. I might not see it your way, but the dialogue, we can still learn from each other. And if they don't support me, that's just, par for the course.